Hey, good morning. This is Pete, Las Vegas. Decided on a new project. We're going to be doing a Colt 727, or also known as an RO727. I have some parts to have started to roll in. So far, the parts I've purchased are from H&R through Palmetto State Armory. I just bought this two-position Car 15 buttstock assembly. And you can see that the whole thing is pretty reasonably priced. And if we go up here, by the way, that buttstock is reproduced by B5 Systems. And you can see if you buy just the stock and you buy direct from B5, you're looking at 50 smackaroonies. So the Palmetto State Armory is a pretty good deal, seeing how you get everything. And let's see if I can zoom in on that B5 Systems logo. Okay, so I thought we would talk about the parts that I have. I'm not going to try to get into too much of the history of the 727. There's a lot of confusing information and a lot of contradictory stuff. So I'm just going to kind of go with what I chose, and maybe we'll get into a little bit of the confusion. Okay, so the H&R two-position comes with a standard carbine buffer. Looks like the bumper, the cushion materials. Okay, if you look at the pin here, it's just ever so slightly sticks out beyond the buffer tube, but that's not bad. I've seen a lot worse. So we'll say that the buffer, just appearance-wise, looks pretty good. The spring, just going by the coloration, I would say is the black silicone chrome. I can't say for sure. They don't tell you in the specs exactly what kind of spring they're using. But just going by the coloration, I'm going to guess, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say Springco. But I don't know that for a fact. So my understanding is on the early 727s, they came with two-position buffer tubes, and that's what this is. It's got one hole here and then one on the very end. I found some documentation, which I believe may be correct, that later on, towards the end of the 727's run, they had gone to four-position buffer tubes, but I don't know that for a fact. And then when you get into the XM4 and the M4, they went to six-position. But for the early 727s, my understanding is that two-position buffer tube is correct, which is what we have here. Okay, not a whole lot to say about the end plate here. Looks like it's decent quality. On the this is the correct ring. You can see it's not a castle nut, so this would be correct. However, what is not correct is these staking notches. I have an older Colt that came with the spanner ring instead of the castle nut, and as far as I know, they did not come with staking notches. So this is something that Palmetto State Armory just added to the ring. And if you like to stake your locking rings and your castle nuts, then probably don't have a problem with that. But anyway, it's not actually period correct. Okay, so inside bore is probably one of the smoothest machined buffer tubes I've ever run across. So wherever H&R is getting these from, they must have came in here and really honed it out and got it like perfectly smooth. There's not a machining ridge or imperfection in there. It's almost like a mirror finish. So the inside of the buffer tube is like perfect. Fitment between the buttstock and the buffer tube is pretty good. It's a little bit of movement, but it's not bad. Not bad at all. It's a pretty good fit. So final thoughts on the buttstock assembly, not bad. Not bad at all. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, I think for the money, it's pretty good. So the Colt 727 or RO727 Used an A2 upper receiver, and this is also from H&R. And you can see the forging mark up here, Brass Aluminum Forging Enterprises, the square. Looked this thing over and I really couldn't find anything wrong with it. Just cosmetically, I mean, it showed up without a scratch on it. All the machining is well done. We'll do a few basic checks here on the video today, but I won't get into the detailed inspection and measuring until we actually start putting the entire rifle together. It comes with the that dry film lubricant, whatever it is these guys like putting on these inside of the receivers nowadays. And this particular version also has the M4 receiver cuts, and I believe that that is also correct for the 727, because when we get into the rest of the video here, when I get more parts in, the 727 started to use the M4 profile barrel, so I would assume that the receiver cuts would be correct for that. All right, well, let's take some close-ups on this thing and see what it looks like cosmetically. One of the things I probably should have mentioned at the very beginning of the video, I know that the early 727s came with the gray anodized, not the black. And a lot of you guys may have already noticed it. This is black. And I don't really have a preference one way or the other. Gray would probably be correct. Although I did run into some information stating that the later model 727s may have started to come with the XM4 or the M4 coloration on the anodizing. Now, I don't know that for a fact either. Like I said, there is so much conflicting information and confusion online trying to nail this thing down. And but one of the reasons I generally go with black is you can buy touch-up pens and chemical black oxide touch-up if you want to get rid of scratches, dents, and dings. And I'm not sure exactly how you would touch up a gray receiver. You may have to Cerakote those, or I don't know what you do. Maybe you just live with it. You can see H&R likes to leave a little bit of the flashing behind on their receivers. I talked about it in other videos, but on my Colts, the outside of the receivers has been finished smooth. And you can see where they smoothed it out a little bit, but they just didn't take it flush. And then on the inside of the carry handle, they left it pretty rough. Okay, so I already test fit the barrel nut, runs smooth. I did have a minor issue when I dry fit my rear sight. And once again, it's not a receiver problem. It's Fulton Armory. And part of what happened here was on the very edge, there were some burrs. You can see a little bit of shiny metal there. That's where I took a needle file and knocked all the burrs down so that when this came down into the receiver, it didn't bind up. And let me see if we can get some close-ups on the receiver here. You can maybe see, if I get the light just right, where it was kind of rubbing. Yeah, can't really see it. You can see the streak from the ball detent in the spring. Let me get right underneath the light, maybe we can see it. Yeah, you can see where it was just starting to rub about halfway down, just below the carry handle channel. So like I said, what I did was I took a needle file and knocked all the burrs off, and I blued it. Can't tell from the camera, but that's been blued. So it's not raw steel anymore. So besides a little bit of burring and unfinished business here on the bottom of the sight, this sight comes in just slightly over spec from front to rear. And if you look at the specs here, I wrote down in the book, maximum is supposed to be 1.105, and then minimum 1.103. So that's your dimensions from here to here. And I believe this comes in at 108, 109. Let's do a quick measurement. Okay, so you can see it comes in like about 110. If I squeeze it together a little bit, we can knock a thou off. So besides the little bit of burring and unfinished machining on the bottom of the rear sight housing, it comes in about 5 thousandths above max. So besides the burrs and being just slightly out of spec this way, that's what was causing the issue up here. So it's not the receiver is what I'm saying. It's it's the Fulton Armory rear sight housing. So my URR measures 0.998. So it's 2 thousandths under minimum receiver spec. So minimum receiver spec is 1 inch. And depending on where you're at on the receiver, the tolerance changes. You cannot go below 1 inch. 1 inch is the minimum. So there's no plus or minus, only plus. So from about here to here, if I remember the technical data package numbers, I think you're allowed 2 thousandths larger in the barrel extension area. And then as you progress further back through the receiver, the tolerances open up all the way, I want to say, to like 6 thousandths. So 1 inch plus 16, or 1 inch plus 6 thousandths. But up here, I believe it's, if I remember right, it's 2 thousandths. So minimum spec on the receiver is 1 inch. So if this is machined at 0.998, and this is somewhere around minimum spec, which is right around 1 inch, this should be a nice snug fit. So I'm going to put this in here, and we'll see how that feels. Okay, so it's a snug fit. So I would say that the receiver, or most of the receiver, is pretty close to minimum spec, which is 1 inch, which is good machining. And it takes me a little bit of pressure to push this down on top of the rod. So like I said, it's a snug fit. I'm having to put a little bit of effort into this, and I'm having to push pretty good. So I'm saying that the receiver spec is pretty good. Now there's another channel I go to quite often, AR-15 Tech Tips in Under 5 Minutes. And he has the same upper receiver rod. And I don't know, he's shown videos where there does seem to be some slop. And I don't know if it's the receiver, his barrel extension, or if it's the rod itself. But he likes another company's rod, I think it's called 2 Unique, and showed that it seems to have tighter clearances, and especially around the extension. Now, I haven't had any problems with mine at all. Whenever I've put this in a receiver or a barrel extension, if things are in spec, this rod has fit pretty well. So I don't know what's going on with his rod or barrel extensions or receivers, but I've had good luck with mine. That's all I can say. So we got a good snug fit there. So the 727 used these 6-hole carbine handguards, the skinnies. And they also used a delta ring, not a slip ring. And I've got this kind of mocked up with the barrel nut inside and making sure everything fits. This is one area I'm not quite sure about. This is a standard full round carbine end cap. I do have some notched M203 end caps coming, which I believe is correct for the 727. I think because the 727 used the M4 profile barrel, the correct end cap would be the one with the notches for the grenade launcher. So I have a couple of those coming. And this is another area that's kind of fuzzy. I wasn't able to nail this down. All the pictures I've seen of actual 727s, it looks to me like it has the notch cutouts. Okay, well, anyway, this is just kind of an introductory video today, just to showcase a little bit of what I have. My barrel should be here in a few days, and then we'll get knee-deep into it and start getting into more detailed build type videos. So anyway, this is just kind of video 1 of my Colt 727, and Pete, North Las Vegas, over and out.